Okay, so this is a short case study of a single dad named John, we'll just call him John, that I worked with a few years ago to help him kind of set a few new things up after having recently gone through a separation and divorce. A lot of what we talked about would also apply to a single mom. And anyone basically who is later in life with or without children, um, or without a partner in a lot of cases as well. But in this case, it is a single dad, and we'll just take you through and show you what we did for him. So as I said, he was a single dad, a professional engineer, recently divorced. He was 56 years old, had two kids, Jacob 20 and Emily 17, who he had joint custody with his ex-wife. His goals when he came to me were to rebuild his investments after the divorce because they'd had to split everything down the middle as equitably as they could. He wants to retire in 10 years with about 70% of his current income. He figures he needs to live on. And his current status after the divorce, as I said, after splitting everything down the middle as best they could, was $24,000 remaining in RESPs. Now those were jointly owned between he and his ex-wife. $100,000 invested in an RRSP, a non-registered mutual fund, and a TFSA at the bank, as well as $75,000 remaining in group RRSPs. His after-tax income was about $5,800. That was coupled with an average monthly expenses, not including his current savings plans, of around $4,500, which gave a disposable income of around $1,300 a month. And whenever I see a number like that, I always make it very clear that that does not mean he had that kind of money just sewn in his mattress on a regular basis, but that with a little bit of careful tweaking, that's what he could expect to have to put towards some planning. We all know that if you don't plan, money has a way of finding something to do if you don't tell it what to do from the start. So the first step of every plan is to go through what I call a zero-based budget. That is a budget where the goal is to hit zero every single month. So we spend every dollar on paper before the month begins and do not deviate from that plan. By simply being aware of the little leaks in spending along the way, the average consumer can cut between 5 and 10% of their expenses. And in this case, John was quite good at keeping a close eye on his spending, so there wasn't a significant change, but it's still a great exercise to go through for most people. Step two was to figure out what his required investment calculation would be. So his 70% of his income desired at age 65 would be around $66,500 per year, which would also work out to about $50,000 or so after tax. His life expectancy was 95, which basically means we've got to fund 30 years worth of retirement income. Under current legislation, his estimated CPP and OAS portion was around $15,000 a year. So that then requires an investment balance in 10 years' time of around $975,000 if we're going to get a payout of about if we're going to pay it out and get about a 4% return. If we want to go a little bit more aggressive in retirement, then he would only actually require $825,000 if he expected a 6% return in retirement, or $710,000 if he expected an 8% return in retirement. All three of those options would pay out around $35,500 per year, indexed at 2% for 30 years. The next step was then to figure out how we take $175,000 of today's money and grow it to $975,000 over 10 years. So you've always got options. Option number one, obviously, is to win the lottery. Option number 2 is to stop all current contributions and maintain an average interest rate of around 31%. So an interest rate of 31% for the next 10 years makes $175,000, $975,000. That's not very realistic. So option 3 and 4 became where we kind of discussed what he wanted to do. Option 3 is to take that $175,000, add $600 per month to it, and maintain an average interest rate of around 8%. That would require a pretty aggressive approach, but it is doable. The fourth option is to contribute $800 per month while maintaining an average interest rate of around 6.5%. That's a little bit more realistic on the interest rate side, but would put a bit more of a crimp in his style in terms of cash flow and investment. The bottom line was, though, we were shooting for $975,000 because we wanted to stay conservative with his returns in retirement. So with a 4% return in retirement, that was going to get him a $35,000 per year income indexed at 2% over 30 years, and would deplete it to pretty close to zero at that point as well. Step 4 was then to cover himself off. His existing life insurance is 2 times his salary. When he retires, that is gone. You don't carry your work-related insurance with you into retirement. And he wanted to make sure that there was something there to offset taxes on his estate and leave a legacy for his kids. He also had a history of cancer and wanted to make sure that there was some help there if he had to take time off work for health reasons between now and his retirement date. So we looked at a whole life insurance policy, $50,000, which was going to grow to $100,000 by the time he died, if he lived to 90, whatever that was, 90, 95, I think, and cost him about $1,700 per year. Now, $1,700 per year might seem like a lot, but if we divide that by 12, as I click away on my calculator here, 1,700 divided by 12 is $141 a month. So it's not out of the question for his budget. And then the other thing we looked at was critical illness insurance, because he does have that history of cancer, so we wanted to make sure that that was covered off as well. We've got $50,000 worth of coverage, which was going to cost him $1,000 per year, a little less than $100 a month, if he contracted a life-threatening illness anytime before the age of 75. So even after he retires, that could still pay out in the early years of retirement, which would be very helpful to maintain and to increase his assets along the way. So what we ended up with was a total cost of the plan, and again, depending on how he wanted, how the wind blew with his investment amount, anywhere between $600 and $800 a month. Life insurance is going to be $140, critical illness around $83. So that was a total cost again of anywhere between $823 and $1,023 per month to get this plan set up for him. And if you recall, his disposable income at the beginning of the conversation was around $1,300 a month. So this fell within his budget, and he ended up deciding on the investment front to go with a slightly higher investment amount. So he did go to the full 800, and was able to stay with a more conservative investment profile to get that 6.5%, with the understanding that if the investments got volatile, that we could pull back a little bit and save them a little bit of money, with again the understanding that would affect his retirement income down the road. So when things got a little bit more volatile than he was comfortable with this past spring, we did meet and made a few adjustments to that. But he is still on track to reach his goal and be able to retire at age 65 at 70% of his current income. So if this resonates with you, if you're a single parent, or if you are just approaching retirement and would like to see a similar plan for yourself, what is possible, what is required, or what is a good idea moving forward, feel free to reach out anytime, and I can walk you through something similar here. Have a great day.